Hey, yes, sir. Hello, everybody. Hello. Let's go live with everyone here. Let's see here. Who do I have on here? There we go. There we go. Let me give us about 20 seconds so that we make sure all equipment is working. But we're on live right now. I'm just waiting on about 20 seconds here to get everything lined up. Okay. Boy, you guys look good. Yes. All right. Did I do something? What happened to your names? Let's see here. What happened to the names here? Oh, there we go. I had them hidden. Okay, great. All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Facebookers. There we go. Welcome to Knowledge is Power podcast live, and I'm your host Tony Renfro. And tonight we've got my special guests, the Hispanic Proactive Coalition. They're joining me this evening, and I have with me to my right is Jacqueline Hernandez, the treasurer and co-founder. Hello, Jackie. Say hello to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, yes. And down below is Richard Rosario, the president. That's my guy. He worked with me on one of my advisors on my campaign last year. Richard, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the
Good.
invite.
It's good. It's good to have you all. Let me get my volume up a little bit here. And Guadalupe Gomez. Spell your last name. Angels, right?
Angela. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, yeah, great. And the secretary of the Hispanic Proactive Coalition. Actually, you guys go by HPAC, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it's
Yeah,
easier to say.
yeah, that's easy to say HPAC, but we already know we're talking about the Hispanic uh, Proactive Coalition. So I'm going to start with my friend Richard, who is the president of the HPAC. And Richard, how did you get this deal started? How did it all come about?
Okay. Well, several of us in the community, what we did was we were really involved at a local level, and we were really involved as far as immigrant rights. And we worked with a 501c3 that was called Education Initiative Association, and that was through Lamar University. But it was a 501c3.
Hmm.
And our advocacy was a little limited because once you started to get more into the political side, 501c3s are not allowed to endorse. And also, another problem we saw was sort of a lack of Hispanic elected officials in our area and no really real infrastructure or leadership in order to push people, Hispanic people especially, get into an elected or appointed office. And so a couple of college students got together and we decided that we were going to create an organization that would allow endorsements of candidates that had our community's best interest, as well as sort of long term going into pushing people to go into office and sort of endorsing and donating money towards the candidates that we thought were good and prepared to run for office here locally in Jefferson County. And so our idea was sort of a 501c4 or a super PAC, and that's why it's called HPAC. It's sort of a Hispanic super PAC. So to kind of condense Hispanic Proactive Coalition, our initials, it's easier to say just HPAC, and that's how we sort of been telling everyone about it.
Great. Now, you guys are. We talked a few times before, and so actually, give us a mission on your organization.
Okay. The mission of Hispanic Proactive Coalition is to empower the Hispanic community of Jefferson County through voter engagement, voter education, and voter participation. So we want people to be engaged in the political process. We also want them to be educated. And once they're educated, we want them to be registered and we want them voting. And that's sort of been our main drive throughout the years. The organization was officially chartered with the Secretary of State on July 15th, 2015. And then we were also, I guess, certified by the Internal Revenue Service as a nonprofit 501c4 status.
Now, also, you are all going to be voting for blue, right?
Well, it just depends which candidates have I guess, our organization's best interest.
Yes.
For as far as elections go, we do look at I guess HPAC itself is nonpartisan,
Right.
because what we want to do is want to endorse the best candidate And we do realize, I mean, the reality is there's going to be Republican and Democrat on the ballot. But we just don't want one party looking at us and taking us for granted and thinking if you don't show up for us, that just because you have a D after your name or an R after your name, that we're going to be voting for you. We want them to be engaged. We want them to be out and about with our community. And so that's why instead of going like a partisan route or a Democratic route, we go nonpartisan so that we're able to go either way, as well as also being able to help and endorse during the city council and school board elections, which are nonpartisan.
Yes, I appreciate that. Hey, Richard, thank you so much. And you're the ringleader. You know that. You know, when I needed something, I always contact you. Jackie, tell me how. Just tell the viewers how are you as a founder, part of the founders, how that ties into the background of the organization.
Yeah, so kind of going off of what Richard talked about a little bit, three of us, recent college graduates, were very involved in an organization in Lamar called Education Initiative Association, which started off as Students for the Dream Act in 2010. And this was an organization founded by undocumented students. And what we found is within not just the undocumented community, but the Hispanic community in general, there was a massive lack of education on the process of how laws become, how people in politics become into that power. And so from there, it evolved from just focusing on this one policy to immigration rights. And from there, a lot of us, I come from a family that at one point was in mixed status. So I had undocumented parents and I had undocumented family members. And I currently still have undocumented family members. And what we realized, even though we are, some of us US citizens, some of us residents, it sticks with us how some of these politicians talk about our family members that are undocumented, or our Hispanic community in general. We are taken for granted quite a bit. So graduating from college, we can't participate as much in the university's organization. We mentor, but we wanted to expand it to our community in general, to where parents can start becoming involved, and those that aren't necessarily college students can be involved as well. And we had to start with educating the public in general, because there's a lot of things that we are misinformed about, or we're just not aware, because that's not something that we grew up doing. Like I said, my parents were undocumented at some point, and there's just some things that, voting, they had no idea about that. But once I started educating myself, and I'm educating them, and I'm educating other family members, it makes a big difference, because we don't just like to be told to go vote. I understand the message, but at the same time, we see that only around election times is when the Hispanic population is now considered, and we haven't seen real people investing their time. So we're doing it for ourselves. So we're college graduates. We're like, how can we do this? And HPAC was what we came up with. So from there, Richard, myself, and another friend of ours, Jesus Perales, we got together and we formed HPAC. And that's we're at now. And that's why we're so passionate about it, because it doesn't stem from just, oh, we got to get out the vote. It's like, no, it affects our families directly, and we didn't understand why, but now we do, and we got to educate everyone else.
Jackie, well, somebody, let's see who is it. Let's see here, who mics is too high. Let's get somebody. Oh, I got it. Someone. Okay, all right. Let's see here. Let me get back on here. All right, now someone's mic is too high, volume too high. I'm hearing the echo. But anyway, and I'm going to ask this question: what organization do you still have? I know you have this organization, the HPAC, but whatever happened to the LULACs? It was pretty powerful at one time in the Hispanic community. Is this still around, or still they're still functioning? What is the difference? What is the difference between the two groups?
So,
go ahead, Jackie.
Okay, so LULAC is still around. The big difference between LULAC and HPAC is what Richard talked about. We are a 501c4. So it's LULAC is a different type of organization. And what we can do, being a C4, we can be a super PAC, where we can endorse particular candidates, and even give them money once we have enough funds in order to help guide our community as to who to vote for.
Hey, well, Richard,
Yes, sir.
okay, you want to ask something different or add on to that?
I guess leadership wise, whenever we were at Lamar, there weren't that many leaders that were mentoring young Hispanic students. One of the few people that we actually saw on campus mentoring Hispanic students was actually not a Hispanic person. It was actually a Black attorney. At the time, he was a municipal court judge by the names of Terrence Holmes. And that's actually what kickstarted a lot of us in politics. Whenever we saw that there was this judge, Terrence Holmes, he was helping us. He was helping us to register people to vote because we were starting to see the importance of it. And I think the first time he came, we registered 3 people, and we were so embarrassed. Or 3, but it was like 3 or 4 people. And so you have this judge, and you have this big idea of what a judge is supposed to be. And they're supposed to be like this big people. You don't waste their time. There's no approach to them. But he was very down to earth. He was very approachable. And really, on the contrary, he approached us and he was helping to mentor us. So whenever he ran for office, it was very easy for us to say yes, because we knew who he was. We knew he had good intentions, and he was able to help us out. And so with that mentorship and helping, that's what really helped us. And so with like LULAC and some of the organizations, they might have been there, but we didn't really have much of a connection with them. And so that's why we also knew that we weren't sure if they were allowed to endorse or all that other stuff. So that's why we created HPAC, so that we were for sure covered. Because if you are a 501c3 and you endorse a candidate or you give money to a candidate, you can lose your status and lose everything that you worked for. So to kind of cover ourselves and cover any other organization, we decided to go that route.
All right. I want to add Guadalupe in this because I don't want her to fall asleep on us over there. Guadalupe, give us some input of what you're doing regarding to reaching out to the students and parents through the schools and any other relevant ties you have to the teachers in the community in the district. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn your mic on. There we go.
Okay. So whenever I started working with them, I started for DACA, but then I noticed, like Jackie mentioned, that a lot of us don't have any information regarding votings or any political stuff. And then also we see things differently from, like, you get to see things from a different point of view. So a lot of the Hispanic and community population, they don't really pay much attention to things like this because they're like, well, they're politics. It's not like I'm gonna be running for some kind of president or something like that. I'm like, no, but you have kids that go to school. You live here, you drive, and a lot of those things, that's how we, by counting us and by being involved, that's how we get to be known that we actually are a huge part of the population, especially here in South Texas. So I try to not tell them what to do, but I try to encourage them to pay more attention to things like that because they do matter. And many times, like, I was not aware of a lot of things. Just like the census, I didn't know what impact it had on all of us. And like now that we have like the COVID and all that, we are undercounted. So we have this many people that is getting sick, but like around here, we don't really have that many Hispanic or Latino population, which it's not right. So little things like that made me realize that we do need to help around and educate ourselves and try to educate our families and the people around us because many of us didn't have any idea of anything.
Well, tell me, guys, what is the percentage of the Hispanic in our community?
In Jefferson County, Hispanic people make up 20% of the population. So 1 out of every 5 people in Jefferson County is Hispanic.
So you got your work cut out.
Yes, we have quite a bit of people to reach out to.
Right. You have your work cut out. And let me say this. We have a problem getting our people to sign up for the census 2020 census as well. And this is very important that we get our census signed up because that's a lot of money, a lot of funding for us all in the community. But
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I'm sure you guys have been pushing hard to have that done too, because your community as well is not aware of how important that census is. So tell me, how do you all are enforcing or just registering these people to sign up for the 2020 census?
There's a couple of things that we've done already. So whenever information's given out, like I think there was Richard might have gone to an event and was explaining to the community members that were Hispanic, majority Hispanic there, talking about, have you signed up for the census? Did you know the census impacts your schools? Because again, like Guadalupe was talking about, there's a lack of information there. So what we do is we educate them as to why they want to make sure their information is taken down for the census. One thing that is different for the Hispanic community is due to the undocumented community, even though they might have citizen children or resident or some mixed family status where they're residents, they're scared to sign up because they're not sure where this information is going. So what we do as an organization is we're educating them and informing them that no, this information is not to be given out to anybody for any reasons other than to be able to provide the proper funding for your local community, to make sure we have enough schools, hospitals, resources available to everyone in the ways that they need. Because some information is needed in Spanish because it's going to be targeted to parents. But again, if we don't have that information, how's it going to be properly given out? So more than anything, it's really encouraging them and pushing as hard as we can without pushing too hard and making them uncomfortable. So
Yeah,
we
I know that we also did a
Richard, change your mic down. Richard, I think your mic is too high. Your sounds is too high. There we go. Okay, now go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that we did was that we did a sort of like this, a virtual panel where we talked about the census, went step by step, and then we posted it on our page so that if someone wanted the information, it was there. And we even went through it with a PowerPoint. So it's not just people talking, you actually saw the actual details of it. And that's one way, especially virtually. Another way, like Jackie said, going to different community events. We had the Mexican consulate come to Cristo Rey Church in Beaumont, and then they also went to Port Arthur. And what we did was we were able to go, and we actually have a regional coordinator for the Hispanic community, and she's based out of Houston, but she works in Southeast Texas. And so we were able to work with her. We were able to give out bags. We were able to talk to people, and a lot of them already said that they were. But one of the things that we kind of, I guess, not scare them, but let them know, like, okay, good. That way they don't come to knock at your door come August. When we said that, they had a little bit of a different attitude because no one likes people going to their door knocking. So it's like, wait, what's this information again? And so we kind of gave it to them there. But I mean, because what if you don't fill it out, what they do is they do go to your door. And so what I said was, make sure you fill out the census. And then they tell me, oh, I already filled it out. I'm like, okay, good. That way the government doesn't knock on your door, which essentially is the government sending someone to your door. But just to kind of let them know, like, you might be sort of scared to fill it out. But we tell them, and we have it guaranteed by Constitution that even if you are undocumented, they can't share that information. Not that this administration hasn't tried scaring people, because they know the power that comes with those numbers. And I guess we heard a couple of weeks ago that the current president wanted to keep undocumented people from being counted in congressional seats. Well, that hurts Texas because that means we're undercounted. And Texas is poised to win 3 congressional seats, and we're also poised to win Democrats are poised to win the state house. If that happens, we have fair districts. Right now, even with gerrymandered districts, so Republicans are having a difficult time holding on to those seats. But if we have fair districts, then that means those seats become more competitive. And then you put 3 more seats in there, and that means they're even more competitive. And with that Hispanic population, especially here, having it sort of educated, that could really change things up a bit. And that's another thing that we tell people about why it's so important to fill out the census. But really, with COVID, we've gotten a lot of obstacles. But even with COVID, we're doing Zoom meetings, we're reaching stuff out, we're telling people and handing stuff out with a mask on, just anything that we could do. Because like you said, it is very important.
It is. It is. And here's one of the questions I want to ask. I've been wanting to ask this question and I come across is that uh, it's in the past the Hispanic community has leaned towards voting Republican, and I always wondered, and I always wanted to ask this question. Now I have opportunity to ask that question: is what led to that, and has the Hispanic people profit more from voting with the Republicans?
Oh, that's a very complicated question.
Yeah. So
Well, I
I'll
mean,
go ahead and start a little bit. Sorry to cut off.
go ahead.
Locally, I think you've seen a shift, but historically, Hispanics do tend to vote Democrat. Locally, there's been a shift that we've seen because the Hispanic community doesn't feel that there's an investment from the Democratic Party. And unfortunately, when the Republican Party has come into the Hispanic communities, they see some type of, oh, where they're coming to help us, not just telling us to go vote Democrat or Republican. That's why for us, we are so involved in the community so that we're not just because we want them to go vote a particular way, so that they can go vote in an informed and educated way. Because, like you're saying, how are they actually benefiting? How are they being misinformed? How are they being misled? And what better way than having Hispanic faces educate and communicate to the population locally, because that's one of the issues. There's a lot of misinformation, and unless you're a trusted source, it's hard for them to really take it in and absorb it.
Yes.
Yeah, and also if we take a look at sort of the state politics, Hispanic people really liked George W. Bush, especially when he was governor, and he was, I guess it was called compassionate conservatism, where he wasn't attacking immigrant communities. And then even Rick Perry, when you take into account that the Texas Dream Act, which gave undocumented students the ability to pay in-state tuition instead of paying more than twice as much for out-of-state tuition, it was Rick Perry as governor who was the first one to do so. However, statewide, there was sort of a shift once Perry left, or he started going towards the presidency, started to become a bit more conservative. And so statewide, there has been a shift from sort of what, like you said, where it used to be, not necessarily where it was overwhelmingly Republican, but where there was a good Republican base of Hispanic voters. With the anti-immigrant sentiment statewide, it sort of shifted away, which is why you had Beto O'Rourke almost winning, like less than 3 points from becoming senator, and why you're seeing Trump and Biden now head to head. A lot of people say that Texas isn't a red state, it's a non-voting state. But you also have to take into consideration that rhetoric also did affect even the state legislature, because in 2017, Governor Greg Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, they were very anti-immigrants. They want to get rid of the Texas Dream Act, which Governor Perry put into place, but they also managed to pass Senate Bill 4, which basically says a police officer can stop you if they think you're undocumented and ask for your papers. Once that happened, they saw the backlash in the 2018 election. And then this last legislative session, 2019, they calmed down. All of a sudden, you didn't see that anti-immigrant rhetoric because they knew what they did. And they sort of pushed them that way. And so from the states and even from the national, you're seeing a lot more Hispanic people kind of turn from the Republican Party and start going more towards the Democrat. But honestly, what we talked about organization-wise, at the national level, we're seeing people turn away more from Trump than going towards Biden. And at the local level, what we're seeing is that there's more people really, like Jackie said, they're seeing that the Republicans are reaching out and that they're the ones who are present. And a lot of people that have been in office for a while sort of take that vote for granted. They don't see them until it's time for election time. And there's three options really when it comes to voting in a two-party system. You vote Democrat, you vote Republican, or you stay home. And unfortunately, our community is known for staying home. It's like, why am I going to go vote for someone that just comes out during election time? And so I think that's why you're seeing a large chunk, because in the past, there hasn't been an actual investment in the Hispanic community. Now, I know there's a new party chair with the Democrats, and he talked about some of the initiatives that he's had, which would be welcomed initiatives, especially in the Hispanic community. If he can follow through, that might help the Democratic Party a bit, but that's going to be sort of on him and following through with that.
Oh, I'm going to post this up on the screen here for your community as well, guys. And that's the 2020 census survey census that they can apply and can be and complete. And it's very important to apply for this. This is that you can go online. It's very easy. It's www.2020census.gov to complete your survey. It is very important for your community, our community, the entire community of Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange, Southeast Texas, really, and we need that support from everyone to get out and complete those sensors. And also, I had a break here. I want to make a break and make an announcement for the another group here in this town city, and I guess we lost LaDonna Sherwood, and I guess we lost her. Oh, there she is. She's back.
There she
No,
is.
I'm definitely here. I am super excited. I just wanted to kind of pop in and say, I know that we're talking about the census, but August 1st marked Black Business Month. And it's 31 days and 31 ways to support a local Black business. I just kind of wanted to be involved for a brief little shake. The NAACP is promoting that. Yes.
All right. Appreciate you, my friend Donna Sherwood. I wanted you a little earlier before we got started, but I got Richard and Jackie and Guadalupe has given me some strong information, so I am going to get back with them. But I'm glad you had a chance to make that announcement for me. LaDonna going to be joining me at times as a co-host on Knowledge is Power, as we continue to go on and reach and educate our community and expanding and growing. And that's the most important thing we all have to do is we have to educate our community. Just like you are having a problem in the Hispanic community, we have that same issue as well. But if we all come together and work hard and go door to door, do a good groundwork, we can make it be successful in Southeast Texas. Now I'm going to get with Donna. You want to get back, say anything else before you get back to your party?
No, I'm just super excited to be here, and I'm happy that you guys let me kind of pop in. You see, I'm trying to work my phone, and I got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So you guys enjoy the
Oh,
rest of the
good.
show, and I'll see you soon.
All right, and
Congratulations on becoming co-host, LaDonna.
Thank you.
all right. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Okay. All right, back. Guadalupe, I want to know a little bit about this because I'm in the dark on some of this. When I'm going to talk about, ask you about it's the DACA. Y'all heard Richard talk about DACA, and I want to know how important it is.
Well, DACA was the reason for which I joined HPAC. DACA was created to protect immigrant undocumented students from deportation, and it was created it was start working on 2012 when Barack Obama gave the order to go ahead and start all the process. And on 2017, they decided to put a pass on it. So that's whenever I was in college, and I was doing community service with a organization in Lamar University, and we saw the news, or I saw the news, and I really got a little scared, but I was okay because my work permit and my DACA was still active. It was not going to expire until later on. But then I know that in order for you to be a DACA recipient, you have to go through a whole process where they check your background, your education level. You have to know how to write, read, and speak English in order for them to just be one of the candidates for them. On top of that, you have to fill up a lot of forms, and then the waiting time, it's pretty big, and it's about $500-$600 every time you have to renew it. So I knew all the struggle, and I know that DACA helped me to do a lot of things in general because I did not choose to come here. My family decided for me, so it was not my choice. And that's one of the things that a lot of people does not understand, that It is for the young adults that are like, if you arrive here before 16, before turning 16, then you are one of the candidates. If you arrive here after that, and on top of that you didn't have any college education or high school diploma, mainly high school diploma or GED, then you're not allowed to do it. So I qualify for all of the expectations for them. So I apply, and that made my college life a little bit easier, because instead of going to a huge college and then try to do because at the beginning I was trying to do physical therapy, because I knew that even whenever I was done, if I were to go into LIT, I was not gonna be able to do anything with a certification or anything like that, because you had to do internships and all that stuff. So they will ask you for your social security number, driver's license, and all the good stuff, which was something that I didn't have. So I had to go to Lamar and then pick something that was longer. Even if I didn't like it, I had to pick something that was longer. So maybe by the time I was going to be able to do something regarding my citizenship problem. So, or my legal studying here. So I knew the importance of it in general. So whenever they decided to cancel it, I said that they were trying to help. They did a clinic where they were trying to help candidates to fill up their paperwork, so they can send it out before the deadline. And I talked to my people from Lamar, like the ones that were in the organization, and it was from one day to another. It was super quick. I was like, you know what, this is happening. This is very important for me because A, B, and C. So we talked to them, and we did. They did a training a day before the clinic. Then after that, we start helping them out. So I really like that. And I knew Jackie before that. I saw her around. I saw her at Lamar, how they had all kind of stuff that they were helping the community and everything. So I was like, oh, and this girl. So I was like, okay, let's go. And then whenever we got there, we said that they were doing the training, very professional, and it was not only Hispanic or Latino people, but it was a little bit of everything. So it was like we were working as a team, which that's one of the things that I love the most. So everything was very organized. We were trained. The day of the clinic, unfortunately, we didn't have that many people as we were expecting. So we prepared for like hundreds of people, and then at this point I don't remember how many people we had, but there were not as many. But then it was a good thing for me to give back to the community just a little bit, especially since I know all the struggle. So that was on 2017, and then after that, we talked again, and then they were like, "Hey, would you like to become part of HPAC?" And I was like, "Sure." So they told me a little bit of what they do, and then we, another friend and me, we decided to be part of HPAC.
Well, what it takes to be a member of your organization, Richard? Are you prospecting for new members, and you're adding to the group, or how is that going?
We have a general membership, and anyone can sign as long as we mainly focus in Jefferson County, but as long as you live in Jefferson County, but even if you don't, as long as you realize that that's what our mission is, you can join. And one way is on our Facebook page, Hispanic Proactive Coalition. You can actually click on our sign up button, and you put your information in there, and then that way you're able to join our mailing list. And once you join that mailing list, you're a member. And then as far as board members, we're sort of after every election cycle, we sort of review our organization, see what worked, what hasn't. Right now, we're sort of reviewing before we as we anticipate the November election coming up. As far as board members, we're going to probably be going down to 7. We currently have 9. One of them steps down, another one got replaced. And so by cutting it down to 7, we can streamline it a bit more, and we can focus more on the mission. And so as far as board members, basically anyone in the community that's involved with us, that's sort of where we go from in order to have a board member. That's sort of how we got Guadalupe on board. We saw her at the DACA clinic at the time. Freddie was also a part working with Guadalupe. We invited him to come as well. Zulema Escobedo was part of it. And then when she had to step down, Shayna was really involved. And so Shayna took her spot. Armando Ruiz, who's actually a city council candidate for Port Arthur, he's also on there. And Tiffany Hamilton, a former city councilwoman from Port Arthur, she's our vice president. And so basically, if you're involved in the community and you're involved with us, we kind of see you as a good fit, and we go ahead and add you and ask you if you'd like to be a part of our board.
Great. Hey, now, Richard, uh, your group is doing a fantastic job in the area because we see each other all the time. We talk to you. It seems like I've been knowing Jackie all my life. I don't know why, but it's just so good to see you all young adults out here reaching out into the public, educating your community, your family, your friends. And I'm going to ask each one of you all to share your podcast with your friends and families and neighbors and whoever. Let's share this all over the community so they can be aware of what you are doing and why we are doing it, what's the purpose for it, what the benefits you're going to get out of this. This is very important that we get the word out. This is election, and I tell my community, the Black African American community, all the time, this is a very important election coming up. This is a very important election coming up, and we must vote like we have never voted before in our lives. We got to vote as though our lives depends on it. And we've gone backwards instead of going forward. It's going to take years to unwind and to find out what the damage has been done in these past 3.5 years. So we've got a lot going of coming. We've got a local election. We've got a sheriff that we're local. We've got what else we have? We have constable.
We have a state representative.
And it's one more. I can't think right now, but we've got one more.
Congressional district.
Yes, the congressional
district 14.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and I always say this I always say this on my podcast each night, regardless who's on. It starts at the bottom. It starts at local. We must get the local. We must vote local to make a difference going all the way to the top of the ballot. But also, I want to take a break here and let my viewers know on Tuesday, I'm going to have the school board, Baltimore Independent School Board members on board with us. That's going to be my guest is going to be Robert Dunn, board member Robert Dunn, Dara Antwine, and Ms. Zenobia Bush. They're going to be joining me on Tuesday. And on Thursday, we have a special round table forum with a couple local guys. We get together and we talk about different issues in the city, local politics, local election, the issues in the city, what's going on in the county, things that needs to be discussed and talked about. And maybe we can address the city about these different problems that some of the residents are having that has approached me. And I'm getting so many calls and so many emails and texts about different problems that they're having in the community and won't help, and they're not getting the help. There's so much I can do. I make contacts with some of the elected officials and see if this thing can be worked out till we get something going. And also on Sunday, I just went blank. I've got but the show's all just about filled up on every open date of Sunday and Tuesday. So I'll have to just dig up when I'm talking to you all and find out what's going on. Now, earlier we talked about, I heard you say something about the Hispanic community is 20% Hispanic.
Of Jefferson County population. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, my question is, that has always been, and I'm telling you, I'm looking at my notes there, that's always been a lack of Hispanic elected in the Jefferson County, okay? City and the county. And my question is, have you ever thought about putting up a candidate for a city council or school board or this county position?
That is our goal as an organization. Our goal is to be able to mentor, teach, and lead local people that are involved to become candidates. We are always on the prowl. Our eyes are always open. Although we might be quiet at times, that's because we're listening, we're watching to see who's doing what. We are always looking for people that we feel fit for any type of position. And it's not that we are choosing, it's that we're seeing who is active within the community, who's actually helping versus just talking. Because we're all, I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of known for holding people accountable to actions, not just what they say they were going to do, but what they're actually doing. So that is our goal as a PAC, to be able to endorse and give money for people to become elected officials.
Yes, and also I know that.
Go ahead, Richard.
Too high, sorry. I know that sort of after every election cycle, that's something that we always do here. It's like, when is there going to be an Hispanic candidate? We're still looking, and I know there are several of us that do have an interest, but at the end of the day, we need to have some sort of foundation in place, and that's going to be a large voting base from the Hispanic community, and also building coalitions with other organizations and other candidates as well. And so that's something that we've been doing a lot. And one of the ways that Jackie says she holds people accountable, for example, is Albert A.J. Turner. He ran for city council last time. And kind of like AJ and you are sort of some of the only people that, after they lost their election, they are still visible. That's important to have in mind, because if you're not going to be in the community before and after an election, then if we put you forward and you get elected, you're probably not going to turn around and help the community. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's for. It's to help the community. And if you're not helping the community, we're not going to put you up there to make yourself rich. We're not going to put you up there to get a government salary. We're not going to put you up there to benefit yourself. So in order for us to see that you're not benefiting just yourself, we need to see beforehand if you're actually doing something to benefit the community. Once you're out and about in the community, then we can be like, okay, this person's someone we can endorse. This is someone we can get behind. But until that happens, we're still kind of looking, and we're seeing, and hopefully working with some of the other organizations that we've been talking with. Hopefully starting, we know that the November election is coming up, but like for city council, we already have 3 people announced that they're running for mayor. One of them is an at-large councilman, meaning that's an open seat. So I hope that we can work with some of the other organizations to have sort of a leadership workshop where, for a full day on a Saturday from like 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m., we can go through what it takes to run an actual campaign. We can have people who've run a campaign and sort of invite people, and we can see who shows up, who thinks that this is important to learn how to run a campaign, and then afterwards, who's showing up to the community events. If you're not showing up to the community events, and if you're not showing up to these workshops, and you do decide to run for office, you're not going to be well prepared, and also you're not going to have the trust of the community for us to back you up.
Jack, you want to add to that?
I'm just going to throw names out there, the people that we've seen other than yourself and AJ be in the community. Constable Javon Pollard actually has been to Cristo Rey events before, the pandemic happened. Judge Terrence L. Holmes has always been a part of the community events. So people that we've supported in elections to this day have held their word, and we're seeing them active. They might be doing it their own way, their own style. We're not here to tell you what to do and how to do it, but we're just here to make sure you're doing it.
Well, I appreciate it.
Also, Sheriff Zena Stevens has also been a big help. And actually, one thing that we do want to tie into HPAC is Sheriff Zena Stevens was one of the people that we endorsed in 2016 when we first endorsed candidates. And one of the reasons was because she gave us her word that at the time, before Sheriff Stevens, there was a huge presence of ICE in the community here. And ICE and Border Patrol really here. And what they would do, unfortunately, is they go to people's homes and they'd knock and they say, police, you need to open up. And of course, the people were scared and they'd open up without knowing their rights, that they can't go into your home without a warrant. Also, they can't talk to you without an attorney present. And so all these things are sort of know your rights things. And they were going to people's homes. They're going to the workplaces. But we found out it's because of their connections with the sheriff. And so we talked to the sheriff's candidates during our candidates forum, and we said, ICE has a large presence here. Who's going to work to decrease it? Sheriff Stevens gave us our word. And we've actually seen less of a presence of ICE. We've heard less of people getting their loved ones taken away. Of course, ICE is a national organization. They can come here whenever they want. But the difference is there's actually no contract, or there's no communications where now all of a sudden she's pushing ICE into the county. ICE can work on their own, but it's not going to be through Sheriff Stevens' office. And she told us that several times. And even in 2017, that bill we said, SB4, where they can ask for your papers, Sheriff Stevens called us and she said, I want to go out in the community and I want to let everyone know that that's not what my officers will do. And that was a lot of what's going on. And so what we saw really with the sort of the George Floyd protests, that, I mean, his and sort of the Black Lives Matter movement, is that a lot of people wanted that accountability from their elected officials, from their police chiefs, from their sheriffs. Fortunately for us, we had seen it beforehand with her. And that's sort of what we talk about when we say accountability. Like, you got elected, what are you going to do? And she took it a step further, and instead of having to hold her accountable, she's like, let me show you why you can hold me accountable.
And that's what we're looking for, and that's all we ask for. I mean, I don't think it's much.
So I
Like,
guess
you say
I
you're
know
gonna do something, please do it.
so I guess I know who you're going to endorse for sheriff this time.
Right now, it's really difficult. I mean, when you do a good job, it's really difficult to endorse an incumbent. To not
Right.
endorse an incumbent that's doing a good job. Now, if we saw what we saw with previous sheriffs, then yes, it would be competitive, especially with 2016 being an open seat. That was really hard questions that not everyone could answer, but she was able to answer them. She did her research. And so going forward, just seeing if we're going to endorse someone, that's sort of what we want to see, that you've been in the community before you decided to run for office.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know, and I have to bring this up because about a year and a half ago, when I ran for city council, and after the defeat, after it was over, the election was over, and 2 days, 3 days later, I come on the air on Facebook, and I announced, I said, hey, listen, I'm good. You know, I did my part. I did with God's will, and it wasn't my time. But I said that at that time, I was going to be the biggest advocate there is in this city. And I never stopped. And this is why I'm having you all here. Everybody, Hispanic Proactive Coalition, Beaumont, Texas. And these young people are doing a fantastic job. Also, you're also at Lamar University as well, aren't you?
So we mentor students from Lamar. That's how we actually got Guadalupe involved, because of DACA, because of many reasons, but we're not an official Lamar organization. There is other student organizations, but we definitely try to help in any way that we can. I mean, while we were in Education Initiative Association, we registered over 400 students. So we know we have that connection to the university.
Yes.
And we're all Lamar graduates too.
Right. But let me ask you, let me go to a little farther here. What about your voters registration events? Are you having anything planned for your community this coming fall?
I know that we have the Mexican Fiestas in Port Arthur, which is a huge event. It was by our former board member, Sulama Escobedo. She's sort of spearheading that, and it's becoming bigger than ever. Because she works there, and because we were able to talk to her, she's been a part of what we do. We're going to have a booth there. And so what we try to do is we hit up events, because we found that that's the best part. Even though we don't get that many the first time, if you keep going over and over again, they know who you are. They trust you a little bit more. And so that's mainly what we're going to be doing, is trying to hit events. But the only downside is that COVID-19 doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. And a lot of people have that hesitancy of going somewhere in public, and especially in Beaumont. I know Beaumont was hit, our Hispanic community was hit really hard. In Jefferson County, we're 20%, but in Beaumont, Texas, we're 15%. But we were 30% of the COVID cases. And we had several church members pass away that we didn't think would. We had several people that got COVID that we thought were healthy. They were fine. And we saw them go to the hospital, and they were really bad. And so that's why, unfortunately, we had to scale back, and we're looking at more virtual things going forward. But there's nothing like going and meeting someone and handing them something that they can sign and fill out, and then you give them that receipt that says they're registered. There's not going to be sort of a replacement for that. And since we can't register people online either, it's been a challenge, really.
Right. I bet it has been, because there's so much we can do and we cannot do at this time. Let me look at some of the comments and that we have on board. Maybe someone is going to ask, "Oh, will you believe this? You watching this? Oh, who is what?"
Oh, thank you, Zuli.
Maybe so. We never know. We moving in that direction. This community is black and brown majority. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, we're moving in that direction. So that's possible. It is possible. And we keep doing what you keep doing what you're doing, and it may come to pass. Let's see, my hey cousin, she's listening. Hello cousin, that's my cousin Linda Spikes Jones, and we had Terry Roy earlier. He's one of my uh, uh, faithful watcher, listener, or whatever. He's on most of the time. And by the way, Terry and I will be on Thursday night as we discussed on local issues here on Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. And I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast that we're doing. It helps me to be able to get out and educate our public, our community on health. We're talking about finances. We talk about politics, voting, registration, all kind of things are going on, and local groups, local civic groups, and we just enjoy. I enjoy doing it for the public, and I enjoy doing it for you. And I want you all to please come back, and we got to do this again before the election, maybe a few more times, because we need to make sure we need to make sure that we have our community involved and educated on what needs to be done going forward. Matter of fact, I want to ask you guys why I have you here is that maybe I can have you all, you three, you four, and maybe I can get another group on here, maybe from the NAACP or another group, and we can kind of merge this thing together and talk about different things that we can put together going forward in numbers and strength. Okay. And also we're
Absolutely.
going to talk about the ground game. We got to put a strong ground game in on for our local sheriff Zena Stevens and our state representative Joe Desatel. What's my constable name, my friend? What is her name? This is
Yvonne Pollard.
Well,
Pollard. Yes, Yvonne Pollard. And we've got to do this for them, and we got to put them back in office, and we're going to make this thing happen. With that, I've got another, I guess, another member of your class, your group here. Let's see here.
Yes.
Ah, I'm gonna throw that in on you. Let's throw that one on you, Richard. And you know what? This is the one I like the most. This is the comment I like the most. I love this one because when I saw you about 2 weeks ago, and I said, looked at it, I said, no, maybe about a month ago. I said, wait a minute, what is this? Really, you should have saw him when he had it. It was grayish. He changed
Yes,
his.
it's like a couple days after having it done. Jackie's cousins, Cynthia and Erica Hernandez, they actually are the ones that do my hair. Erica's my barber. And
Okay.
so
over at Mod Hair Factory, my hair too.
yeah, we talked about we did a little meme where you change your hair color. And they're like, you might look good during as a blonde. And during the pandemic, of course, all of us were there and at our homes. And I didn't really have much to do because I got sent home from my job. And I'm like, well, I mean, if it'll help out, sure, I'll do my hair blonde. And I did it. And I got a lot of compliments and it was okay. And so, I mean, we did it in my restroom because it was through Zoom. And so I had to do it myself because we can't open up the shops. So, if I am ever elected official, you don't have to worry about me going to a shop when they're closed down. But but and then the next time when you saw it, it was actually out of their salon, and so it was professionally done, and so that's why it had a nicer, more even color. But yeah, it was something that I didn't think I'd do, and I ended up doing anyways.
I tell you, I never heard nobody to have done by Zoom. Well,
yes.
Wow. Hey, guys, I enjoyed you all. It's been great having you all, and we want to get the word out again. I hope you enjoyed it, enjoyed yourself, and you have done well. And I want everyone to know about the Hispanic Proactive Coalition. They call themselves the HPAC. And they are doing a lot in our communities, and I'm sure everyone understand what they're doing because we're doing the same thing. We're getting out there. But let me ask you one more question. I'm gonna let you guys go. is that, and it's something that's challenging to us in the Black African American community, and I know it's a challenge to you all, is that getting people registered and voting in your community, Hispanic community. Has it been difficult?
Yes.
Yes.
That's about it. I know that part. We having the same. We have that. Our vote don't count. Your vote do count. I don't care what.
Right.
Make sure you let them know their vote do count.
Yes.
And it does.
It really does. Guys, thank you so much, Richard and Jackie and Guadalupe. You
Thank
know
you for
how?
inviting Tony.
Hey, can we do this again, please? I really do want
Yeah.
back on,
Yes.
and because I want to make sure you guys grow in numbers and grow in knowledge, and I want you to grow. Period. And it's very important that we join hand with the Hispanic community, and we can't do it all ourselves, and we can do it.
Right.
We can do it if we unite and do it the right way. With that said, please thank you everyone, and please join me on Tuesday. By the way, before I go, the BISD registration is open, and the last day to register your child is tomorrow, August 3rd. That's tomorrow, right? Yes, that's
Hmm.
tomorrow. BISD parents, please register your children.
And
Uh,
HPAC, I believe, will be sharing that information in Spanish. So that's one thing that we also do is make information available bilingual.
right. Okay. Great. And I'm going to have the Beaumont Independent School District school board members with me on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. So please join me, everybody. Wait a minute, Mitch. I have another. Oh, okay, I got you. I hear you. Here we go. Look, yes. Ms. Allison Gertz says you're the voter registrators here to help in Jefferson County. Thank you so much, Mrs. Gertz, and we appreciate that as well. But again, people, BISD registered. Please register your parents. Please register your kids for registration. Um, and the deadline is tomorrow. If you're doing it visually or in person schooling, please do that. That's very important. So again, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you again and again. And thank everyone for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Please love you.
Adiós a todos.
All right.